Hello there, Fire Family. Welcome, bienvenidos, bienvenue to the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown, the safe space where we set oppression ablaze and we know that something can, will, and must better arise from the ashes. We are here to destroy everything that holds us back as people, that diminishes our promise and our possibilities for some bullshit like capitalism. No. Big thumbs down to capitalism. Let's stomp. Matter of fact, you see capitalism, you stomp capitalism out. You curb stomp capitalism. You get capitalism out of here, even if you got to beat it to death and then burn it down. Hey guys, I want to thank you all so much for showing up. I see we got all of our people checking in. What's up, Radical Leftist Agenda? What's up, Rain Descent? Big Rich is in the building. What's up, brother? What's up, brother? I'm so happy to see everybody. Freddie Fretch, my man Chuck Diesel, you know you work here, Chuck Diesel. We appreciate you as always. Listen, gang, don't forget to smash them likes for me. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. And just a quick reminder, everybody, we are still in the first week of our summer fundraiser. This is the first time we've ever done anything like this. And in honor of my 43rd birthday, which was on Wednesday, FYI, we set the very ambitious goal of trying to raise $4,300 in the next 2 weeks. As you know, this is Black women independent media, Black women led independent media. And we got a Black man, another Black woman, and a righteous ass white woman on our squad. So listen, it is the four of us here. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into Burn It Down with Kim Brown. And the only way that is able to continue to keep going is through your support. And I want to thank all of our patrons. I think we're up to 85 patrons, which I'm super excited about. But if you want to become a patron, you can easily do so at patreon.com/BIDWKB. Our tiers are rather affordable. You can get in on the low of just $2 a month. We got $5 a month, $7 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever is in your budget. Anything that you are able to give us, no amount is too low. And if Patreon is not really your bag, it's cool. You can hit us up on Cash App at $BIDWKB, at BIDWKB, on Venmo, and we are also on PayPal, paypal.me/BIDWKB. We've been getting a lot of support, guys. And in fact, Molly just gave me the last second update. We are 29% to our goal. Oh, okay. Okie dokie. Sometimes our math don't be mathing, but listen, guys, all your support is going to the right place. So we'll keep you updated on what the latest portion of our goal that has been attained. But I want to thank you guys off the top for doing all that you do, for showing up here and participating in the chat. And by the way, free support, always welcome. Hit a like, go on and subscribe, and participate in the chat with some thumbs up and some flame emojis. Listen, honey, I am a grateful chick. I have explained this to y'all. I am humbled that anybody shows up to listen to this program. So you just being here is simply support enough for me. But guys, we have a great show planned for you today. We are going to be talking about a myriad of issues. First of all, if you are lazy broad like myself, who sometimes does not like to cook and will do those food delivery services quick, fast, and in a hurry, tomorrow is not the day for that. At least it's not the day to be ordering DoorDash. DoorDash drivers are striking nationwide July 31st. We're going to listen and hear from some of the complaints of the workers, especially as they relate to their compensation. Contrasted that with the fact that the DoorDash CEO was amongst the most paid of 2020. I think he raked in over 400 million. I mean, like an insane amount of greed and wealth not being redistributed to the DoorDash drivers there. We're going to get into that. We're also, of course, going to talk about our sister, our little flippin' phenom, Simone Biles. Simone Biles, as you all know, has withdrawn from several events for the Tokyo Olympics, citing health issues, specifically mental health issues. She's undergoing something that gymnasts refer to as the twisties, which is extremely dangerous. But in light of Simone's ADHD, it's not a diagnosis per se, because she has had ADHD and she's been quite upfront about it. But there's a lot of ableist talk right now when talking about critiques of Simone Biles and her reasons that she withdrew from these events in the Tokyo Olympics, and somebody getting cussed out, Charlie. And I'll give you a little hint. It is I that will be doing the cussing. But gang, also in light of the Olympics, you know, it's not just the global opportunity for industrialized nations to have the spotlight shown on them every 2 and 4 years. It's really something that turns out to be very harmful for the vulnerable people that live in these Olympic cities. And Tokyo, in Japan, as much as we here in the US look at Japan and South Korea like as these really technologically advanced places, they also shit on their unhoused population. I don't know if they do it as good as we do here in the US. The fact that it happens at all is in fact shameful. I want us to take a quick peek at a snippet of a package done by the BBC World News about how Tokyo has handled, or rather mishandled, its unhoused peoples during the course of these Tokyo Olympics. Tunde, if we could take a look at that, please.
The Tokyo Olympics have begun, but this is what you don't see. Hundreds of homeless people in central Tokyo being forced to hide from sight. They're being evicted.
It is unfair and inhumane.
Moved to less visible spots. Since Japan won the bid to host the Games in 2013, the authorities have taken a tough approach on the homeless. Parks were locked and lit up at night to discourage people from sleeping there. Street tents around train stations and Olympic venues removed. This is one of the areas where the organizers wanted the international media to see Japan in the best possible light. And today, with the games underway, there's no sign of homeless people nearby.
国立競技場が大きくなるとき、追い出しを受けた人はみんな知り合いですが、その日のうちから寝る場所とかどうするのかって話になって。
Ogawa has been homeless for nearly 20 years. He hates how his community has been treated because of the Olympics.
みんなで協力して、テントを持ってきたりとかいろいろとして、寝る場所を作りましたけど、で、強制排除っていうのは荷物も全部持っていかれちゃうんですね。そういったような非常に強いストレスを。
That package there from the BBC World News. You guys, please go to the BBC's website and watch that package in its entirety, because it is extremely revealing. And that first minute and a half of it, I believe, was revealing enough as to how disgusting it is that unhoused people get treated, not only just during the Olympics, but especially during the Olympics. And gang, if you think that America is somehow exempt from that, absolutely not. So I want to welcome our guest today. Today, we are joined with Lisa Quan. Lisa Quan is an organizer from the group called NOlympics LA. Now, Lisa Quan is a lifelong Angelino. She's an organizer with NOlympics LA, sometimes reporter on Los Angeles issues. And NOlympics LA is a broader coalition that focuses on Los Angeles, California, and the worldwide movement against the Olympics and the ongoing issues and envisioning alternatives to the Olympics. And Lisa joins us today from LA. Lisa, we're so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us on Burn It Down with Kim Brown.
Be related.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice. It's Leo season, Lisa. Turn up. Listen. So let's talk about the Olympics, because we just saw that clip from Tokyo about how houseless people there are being displaced and told to remain invisible, and are having their belongings and their dwellings, their tents, just discarded and thrown away. And we've seen this happen already in 1984 in Los Angeles when the Summer Olympics came there. And I know your organization is genuinely concerned, legitimately so, that the same thing is going to happen when the Summer Olympics come back to Los Angeles in 2028, which of course NOlympics LA is trying to prevent. So let's start in 1984, Lisa. Let's talk about what happened to the most vulnerable communities, unhoused people, Black and brown communities, when the Summer Olympics came to LA in '84?
Yeah. Where can we start? I mean, just to set the precedence for like what the Olympics really are, like the IOC, who is behind the Olympics, all of it is just a rigged, elite-driven ploy to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. So what happened with '84 Olympics is it was just kind of touted with this feel-good marketing of how it's going to be like the big, like fanfare in terms of Olympics, the first like modern Olympics, with a lot of celebration, a lot to do in terms of celebrating Los Angeles as a big tourist city. But there was a lot of very insidious things that have happened leading up to the Olympics. One of the biggest issues that we still deal with now is policing. At the time, under Chief Daryl Gates, once LA received the '84 bid, it gave LAPD just a lot of full reign to bring in more personnel, to bring in more high-tech weapons. They even brought in tanks under Chief Daryl Gates. Like, why do we even need tanks? So a lot of the things that we have seen from '84, or even just in the early '80s, carried on in terms of the practices, like the chokehold method, and just the entire brutalization of different Black and brown neighborhoods in Los Angeles and the different gang sweeps that had happened afterwards. All of that escalated into what you see, happen in the '90s too. Like, you have to connect the dots between what had happened leading up to '84 Olympics with the '92 uprising. The things that LAPD had received as a result of '84, like those things just don't go away. Like the tanks don't go away, the personnel doesn't go away, the weapons don't go away, and the techniques don't either. So once the Olympics kind of packed up and left, the city was left very vulnerable, in particular the Black and brown communities of Los Angeles. And they're going to be the first ones to be brutalized and displaced, getting the worst of it all.
You know, I was, in researching this story, I found a piece written by Deadspin, and the author's name is Devoria Myers. And this is from 2017. And the name of the piece is titled "The 1984 Olympics Were Bad for Poor Black People in Los Angeles." And the author goes on to describe the hyper-militarization of the Los Angeles Police Department in the run-up towards the '84 Olympics. But as you mentioned, once they received this additional money, this additional funding, this additional equipment, these resources, they did not give those resources back once the Olympic Games were over, and the hyper crackdown on Black and brown communities was ridiculous. One example listed in this Deadspin piece had to do with, I think it was north of, at least 10,000, maybe 15,000 young Black and brown men who were swept up in these sort of stop and frisk sort of roundups, but they were never charged. But they were still enduring so much of this police harassment and connected to the run up to the Olympics. And for mentioning Daryl Gates, when you kept saying LA Police Chief Daryl Gates, all I thought was all the rappers from the 80s and 90s who had nothing but fuck yous for Daryl Gates in so many of their rap lyrics. But I want us to shift focus to the unhoused community, to the houseless community. And then from the piece that we just saw from the BBC, there are concerted efforts to remove people, to throw away their stuff, to throw away their belongings, their tents, their dwellings, and to just move them, shuffle them from place to place. Have we seen that happen during the run up to the '84 Olympics? And do you expect that to happen in the run up to the 2028 Olympics?
Oh yeah, like everything that we're seeing happen in Tokyo, the things that are getting more and more covered by major reporters like BBC, there are a lot of parallels to draw from what we see now and what we will see in the future. But also if we go back to even '84, between '82 and '84, LA City Council passed this ordinance to criminalize living on the street. And where are we now? Like fast forward however many decades later, most recently in LA, City Council and our Mayor Eric Garcetti has passed 4118, which basically is an ordinance that criminalizes any sort of living on the street. So this is happening once again at a very extreme level, which also gives LAPD and law enforcement agencies a lot more power. They made a lot more power to request for more personnel, for more militarization in order to enforce these ordinances. So what happens with these games, like a lot of times LAPD, you see them cite these games like the World Cup or the Olympics coming into LA as a reason for needing to beef up personnel. And you're kind of seeing that now, and it's kind of going hand in hand with what city council and the mayor is doing by passing these ordinances that effectively keep the poor off the streets. And it's just going to get even worse. People are going to get banished the same way that we did see in '84. I mean, they're like the police back then were also just kind of encouraging the banishment of unhoused people or populations to this outside the city. Right now, our unhoused population has nowhere to go because the city also does not want to support those who are unhoused with housing at all. Like with hotels, like we had the opportunity last year to house people in hotels. Like the federal government was literally giving out unlimited FEMA money for the city of LA to put people in hotels, but they turned it down or they just did not follow through with it. So I kind of went on a tangent there, but also I think it's very related.
It's extremely related. It's 100% related. And just a heads up to everybody, the ordinance that Lisa is referring to was Ordinance 41.18, which would ban camping or dwelling in some public areas of Los Angeles. It passed the Los Angeles City Council by a vote of 13-2. And this was on Wednesday. It's already been signed by Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. And as you guys can imagine, the activists showed up at Eric Garcetti's house last night, wanting all the smoke from Eric Garcetti, which I fully understand because, Lisa, I don't have to tell you as an Angelino, I mean, we are still in the middle of a pandemic. Los Angeles County endured, extremely high rates of COVID. And with the Delta variant, we're seeing these things go back up, in addition to the record temperatures that have been experienced in parts of California, with the climate catastrophes that are ongoing. I mean, the state and the city of Los Angeles directly, their approach to how to deal with unhoused people is just violent and cruel. And I'm concerned that it's going to get worse the closer we get up to the 2028 Olympics. But I wanted to ask, No Olympics LA, your goal is to stop the Olympics from coming to your city. So tell us, how do we do that? Because that sounds a very ambitious.
Yeah. So NOlympics came out of 2017 once we learned that LA received the bid for 28 Olympics. Since then, we have created a base of autonomous organizers as well as allies and partner groups, not just in the city of LA, but also in California and also transnationally. The work is not fulfilled unless we build on a transnational level. So we have our allies in Tokyo, our allies in Korea, in France, and the education and also the direct sort of like coalition building that we do across is very important. We also uplift existing partner groups that happen in or that exist, in LA specifically, such as LA Tenants Union and the various tenant alliances that have come up through the union. We also have Stop LAPD Spying and Street Watch LA, all of whom have focused on these various issues that are very pertinent to the Olympics and to all of us. And so most recently, we did something called, we call it the no opening ceremony last Friday, just to time it alongside the opening ceremony of the Olympics, where we welcomed anyone from LA to come and have a conversation with organizers, not just within NOlympics, but also who are also in tenant unions and also educating and or researching the politics of the Olympics and whatnot. So we do a lot of that. And we also have something right now called Locks on My Block. Just for some context, Airbnbs are illegally operated Airbnbs are running rampant in Los Angeles. And one of our endeavors most recently has been to crack down on these Airbnbs and find a way for to build a base within Los Angeles to educate each other about what it means to run an illegally operated Airbnb and how to report on it, and so that we have a larger context in which we can fight on a systemic level. Why is this important? It's because Airbnb has a 10-year partnership with the Olympics leading all the way into LA 28. So Airbnb in itself is, driving up rent and also displacing a lot of residents. I think that a lot of landlords see the benefit of, turning or flipping their existing units into Airbnb units. And as a result, kicking out or, providing substandard living conditions for existing tenants and effectively displacing them. So that's also one campaign that we are working on right now, is just to help people understand what it means and how to identify legally operated Airbnbs and how to let us know and let us work with fellow tenant alliances and help build tenant alliances where possible.
Hmm. Now, I know the circumstances are a little bit different with Tokyo 2020 into 2021 versus, well, actually, let me not say that, because who in the hell knows where we're going to be at pandemic wise or really anything come 2028. I mean, the Mother Nature keeps giving us these declarations that she is indeed the bitch in charge. So let no one else seemingly forget that. But the Tokyo Olympics are not very popular amongst Japanese people, at least according to reports, having everything to do with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and how the pandemic is not very much under control in Japan, with very few people vaccinated. And even, specifically to the houseless community, most of the houseless people there are elderly and unvaccinated as well, making them obviously more vulnerable. But how maybe can a tiny bit of this be applied to the coming 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles? Like, how can you make the Olympics unpopular, right? The Japanese people are firmly like, hey, these Olympics are really a threat to our public safety. Why, all the venues actually are in fact closed to the public. They didn't, entertain any crowds there. And it still remained very unpopular. So how can we make the Olympics unpopular? Like, how can we frame it to people that, these Olympics, while they are a celebration of global athletic achievement on, individual and a team basis, they are actually a big threat to public safety. They are a misuse of public resources. And maybe there's a different way that this can be done. Yeah.
I feel as if there was any other Olympic to have canceled, that would have made it the most sense to cancel right now, it would have been Tokyo. And I think the IOC in a way have really shown their butts in terms of where their priorities are, just in this event alone. And frankly, I think that even just with personal friends in the network in which I kind of talk about the Olympics with, I think people are just kind of it feels a little bit uncool to be having these. So I think that in itself is a conversation starter. And I think the goal is to just keep on educating and just to encourage people to do their own sort of autonomous organizing within Los Angeles or just with any city that is vulnerable to any mega events that are being organized by profit-driven developers or politicians. I think the work has to do a lot with building tenant alliances and building people power in that way. It's to continue just doing one-on-ones with people and also helping connect dots. So even with LA 24 or the LA 28 bid, I don't think a lot of people even realized that it had happened, that it was rubber stamped and put, and the city council was working towards it up until maybe several years ago, or even just a year or two ago. And I mean, I think the initial shock of oh, the LA 28 is happening, and that I think is a great conversation starter, because it also opens up the outlet to tell people about who gains from this and who loses from this. Ultimately, it's going to be the politicians, it's going to be the IOC who gains a lot of extra capital from each game from each host city. It's going to be the developer, it's going to be the police. And to also just put it in a greater context, in this sort of dumpster fire that we're going through right now, could we really go forth with, a group of elite profiteers from this? Is this what we really want? If you look around us, there are so many issues to address, and we're going to want to have this mega event rolling through town. So I think it's just helping people connect the dots of LA 28 is supposed to be a no-build Olympics, but what does that really mean? It means development's going to happen elsewhere. We see a lot of rent stabilized housing already becoming destroyed in favor of like larger commercial use buildings or for hotels. Like it just looks different, and just kind of helping people see it in that light. I think the common question that we will get is, what's the alternative? And thing is, like, the Olympics alone, as long as it's something that's, organized by the IOC and a lot of these wealthy, power-driven people, it's not going to happen. There's no good alternative. The Olympics itself also doesn't support athletes in general. I think every Olympic has shown some way in which the IOC and the Olympics organizing committees are racist, homophobic, sexist, and they're not interested in any sort of reform or any sort of conversation or public input. I think the ideal situation would be to have games that are owned by the athletes, something that the athletes drive themselves, because even the Olympics right now, like, I think it's a celebration of sports, but that's just, on paper by marketing. It has never really been about the athletes too. So that's something that we also want to put forth in our future endeavor in the fight against the Olympics.
I dig that a lot, Lisa, because, some people would look at an institution as big as the IOC or at the Olympic Games and say, this is the way they've done it for a while. I don't know if anything can be changed. You guys, look at what's happening with the NCAA right now, and the big shift in collegiate athletes, amateur athletes about to get paid. And, 20 years ago, that was very difficult for people to envision. So we can't ever say never, because what we think is impossible is actually quite possible, as long as there are people out there who can envision something better and are willing to put the work in for it. Lisa, real quick, before we let you go, how can people find out more about No Olympics LA, and what can they do to support?
Yes, please follow us on NOlympics LA on Twitter and Instagram. We also have our website, NOlympicsLA.com, where we have a lot of research and information and ways for you to get plugged in, whether you're in California or national or international. We are not just organizing within LA. This is a global movement.
Fantastic. You guys, we've been joined with Lisa Quan. She's an organizer, sometimes reporter out there in Los Angeles, and she's with the group No Olympics, striving to make sure that the Olympics do not come to Los Angeles in 2028, and to build a global movement against the Olympics everywhere. Lisa, thank you so much for your time and your information. I really appreciated you joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You guys, it's Lisa Quan from No Olympics LA. Please follow them on social media so you can get more informed as to why the Olympics ain't shit, to put it nicely. Okay. All right, guys. Now listen, I'm about to NPR y'all right now. I'm about to Pacifica Radio y'all right now. We are in the middle of our summer fundraiser, our first ever summer fundraiser, and we are doing amazing because you guys are amazing. Thank you so much to my dear friend Big Rich. They call him Big Bank out this joint. Rich broke us off on Cash App. Thank you so much, Richard. And Tunde, what is the updated percentage of the amount we are to our goal? Was the 29%? Was that too high? Was that off? Oh, that's a big difference. That's a big difference.
We're just at 18%.
Listen, guys, we are journalists, reporters, and broadcasters. Mathematics, not necessarily our strong suit. And I see the homie Toby Swoley already breaking us off with a nice 55th. Thank you so much, Toby, for your support. We appreciate that, sweetheart. What are you going to say, Tunde?
Hey, look, I got a degree in accounting, so I can't claim that.
Oh, shit. Well, well, then you got no excuse, Tunde.
Yeah, fair enough.
That brain should be a calculator, sir. Guys, patreon.com/BIDWKB, Cash App, Venmo @BIDWKB, and PayPal us, paypal.me/BIDWKB. We are doing this summer fundraiser through next Friday, which, by the way, we're going to wrap up this summer fundraiser with our AMA, Ask Me Anything. Now, for those of y'all paying attention, y'all know that the month of July has gone by us and we did not do an AMA. Now, y'all know we had a lot of things going on this month. So I appreciate y'all being understanding and join us August 6th. And like I said, patrons or would-be patrons, you can get in on the low, $2 a month, get you access to exclusive content. And then I see my Leo sister also in the comments. Afra sings. Afra, did you get your settlement? Thank you. I'm just messing with you, sis. Thank you so much for your support. Hold on. Somebody else broke us off. Look at us. 50s. Y'all racking up 50s. Today is payday. Indian burned down people. Kev Z 24/7. Appreciate you, good man. Thank you so much, you guys. We appreciate this love and this support. Y'all don't understand, but I think y'all do understand. So thank you all again. And well, anyway, I'll get into that a little later. I want us to stick on the topic of the Olympics because you guys, you can't even talk about the Olympics without Simone Biles' name being somewhere in the mix. Now, Simone Biles was very much framed, not framed in a bad way, but framed, well, maybe in a bad way, depending on your point of view of it. But prior to the Olympics, I mean, it was all focused on Simone for the most part, right? Like Simone and Katie Ledecky are like the only two people that you really heard about. I mean, Simone Biles got way more hype than even the men's basketball team, and rightfully so, because she is the greatest gymnast of all time. Simone Biles has moves named after her. Simone Biles is trying to put so much distance between her and whoever is the second greatest gymnast of all time, and I respect it big time. But obviously, when she, and of course, you know, we can't show it here on YouTube because the Olympic International Committee be acting like some ho-hos. Oh, sidebar, timeout. 2 of our videos got snatched from weeks ago. When I showed Simone Biles during that Yurchenko double pike in the national championships, when Simone was stomping on hoes out this jump, they tried to say that we used footage from night 4 of the Tokyo Olympics, and they said after a manual review, we found that I said, y'all niggas could not have reviewed this manually and checked the air date of this program. So 2 of our videos got snatched because the Olympics are some big jerks. But if you guys have seen Simone's vault, her vault practice, right? And showed it. Let's be clear. When she was landing sort of lopsided, and I mean, she was still landing on her feet, to her credit. If you could put up that article real quick, Tunde, from the Washington Post. This woman from the Washington Post wrote an article and talked about how when Simone Biles talked about the twisties, all gymnasts immediately understood what she was talking about. And while it sounds, you know, twisties, oh, I got a case of the twisties. Apparently the twisties are extremely bad. It's when a gymnast loses sort of spatial awareness of where they are when they are up in the air, 20 feet, twisting their bodies all around and going upside down and attempting to land on their feet, which is hard, right? I look at these girls and I'm like, ain't no way. Even when I was young and a bit more agile still, ain't no way. Big time skill set there. Gymnast came out and said, listen, anybody talking shit about Simone Biles needs to immediately shut the fuck up. And here's why. Because had it been anybody else but Simone Biles, somebody would have blown a knee, somebody would have landed on their neck, somebody would have landed on their head. And the only reason why none of those catastrophic injuries happened to Simone Biles is because, number one, she's Simone Biles. And number two, Simone Biles had enough self-preservation, right? What we have witnessed from this young woman is that Simone Biles put herself first. And so often in our society, Black women are really not allowed to do that. We're supposed to carry the weight of the team, the country, in our families, on our back, be strong and silent, and just deal with it. Just power through it, right? And Simone Biles understood that if she were to try to power through this, she could have a catastrophic lifelong injury. And for what? She's already the greatest gymnastics bitch of all time. And I, again, as a competitor, I respect the fact that she was going there to smash bitches, right? But she's not able to do that. Now, there's been a lot of speculation as to why Simone has not been able to do this. Simone Biles has talked about her ADHD diagnosis. She's really been very honest about her life, which at 24 has been challenging, despite the fact that she is, I believe, a 4-time Olympic gold medal winner. Simone Biles grew up in and out of foster care. She was dealing and still dealing with her ADHD diagnosis. And of course, most horrifically, she was a victim of sexual assault and sexual abuse by U.S. gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar. And in a previous interview, I saw her talk about that from all the girls that were victims of Nassar, she's the only one currently on the Olympic team, which she owns, right? She wants to be very clear that survivors are still out here, right? You can't just sweep this issue under the rug because the gymnasts who were abused by Larry Nassar are still furious with U.S. gymnastics. The FBI, we talked about this on Black Power Media a couple weeks ago, how the FBI came out and revealed that their investigation into the assault of these gymnasts was impotent, some limp dick shit. These motherfuckers did not follow up on tips, on leads, meaning that Nassar was able to continue to abuse girls for a longer period of time because the FBI, like a lot of law enforcement, when it comes to rape and sexual abuse of women, girls, and kids, take the position that bitches be lying, right? So they didn't take the shit seriously, and Nassar was allowed to continue for a longer period of time, and as opposed to if the FBI would have acted swiftly, right? So Simone Biles has got the weight of a lot on her shoulders. Now, listen, I understand that she is experiencing it from my perspective, and maybe you guys are seeing this differently. And if you are, let me know. But she's experiencing way more support than she is criticism. And of course, the criticism is coming from fucking hoe ass niggas like the Texas Attorney General. What's that nigga named Paxton? I saw the headline and I refused to click on it. I was like, you know what? This grown ass privileged white man is talking shit about this young black woman who prioritized herself. Simone Biles didn't quit on her team. In fact, Simone Biles may have even helped the U.S. women's gymnastic team win that overall silver gold medal because she chose not to compete. What if she tried to power through it and fell on her head, right? Not only would she have been injured, it would have brought the team score down tremendously. They may have not even medaled, right? So Simone Biles she's utilizing self-care at the same time she's being selfless, right? And circling back to her ADHD, guys. So now I do not have an ADHD diagnosis, but I know people that do. And I know that the medications prescribed for ADHD, including Adderall, Ritalin, Vyvanse, so what is being alleged in some reports is that Simone taking medication to treat her ADHD, something that she was able to do in the Rio Olympics, but not able to do in Japan because Japan has specific rules against performance enhancing drugs, which I guess okay, you know, it's not steroids, it's not human growth hormone, it's something to focus her mind, right? I don't believe that Ritalin, Adderall, Vyvanse do any of those things in terms to, it's not going to make like her muscle growth bigger or have her enhancing her physical performance in any way. It's to simply sharpen the focus of her mind. But when you are withdrawing from those specific prescriptions, you feel like doing absolutely jack nothing. You can barely get up out of bed, right? Your appetite is all messed up. Your sleep schedule is messed up, right? Simone Biles is in Tokyo right now trying to power through what I'm assuming could be a withdrawal symptoms from her ADHD medication. I don't know what medication she takes, but like I said, I know people who have this diagnosis who have been taking these medications, and they say that if you're trying to come off of them joints, especially if you got to come off of them like that, it's going to drag you down. And listen, if y'all hear people talking shit about Simone Biles, check them motherfuckers immediately. Because what we're not going to do, we are not going to demean Black women. We are not going to disparage them. We are not going to ignore them, right? If anything, when athletes like Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka say aloud that they are experiencing these problems, these challenges, these issues, and they need to take time away in order to heal themselves, understand how much strength it took for them to do that, right? Again, the expectations of Black women, what did they say, y'all? Black women are the mules of the world, right? Everybody, come on, mule. Get on up there, mule, like you have done every other time, mule. And these two Black girls, these young Black women, I wish I was in my 20s right now looking at Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka, because I'm in my 40s and they are inspiring the shit out of me by doing what they need to do to take care of themselves, y'all. And don't let them do it. I mean, when I say them, I mean, don't let people talk shit about Naomi Osaka or Simone Biles in your presence, because number one, that's rooted in misogynoir, right? Any chance people get to take a dump on Black women and what they ain't doing and what they need to be doing, that's misogynoir. And you need to stop that shit immediately when you see it. Second of all, what Simone Biles is enduring for some of this criticism regarding doping, which dumbasses are saying, oh, she was on, performance enhancing drugs, Adderall, that enhances your performance. She's doping. No, she is treating her medical condition, which she should not be penalized or criticized for doing. That's ableism. What you gonna say? If there was an Olympic athlete who was diabetic and they were taking their insulin as prescribed, as they medically have to do in order to live, is that a performance enhancing drug so you can survive? And I understand the medications for ADHD may not be the best comparison to something like insulin, but the sentiment is the same. You have a condition that you cannot help, and that is treatable with medication. And if you are precluded or prevented in some way in taking that medication, and motherfuckers want to talk shit about you for not being up to the task because you're being denied your medicine, that is ableist as fuck. Ableist as fuck. Yes, there's that. Everything's going off. What's going on? What's going on here? We getting some more support. Oh, Veronica, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Ursula, thank you, darling. Thank you guys so much for your support. We truly, truly appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much for supporting us. So guys, but while you supporting this Black woman, apply that to every Black woman you know, because we need it out here. We can be at the pinnacle, the very height of our chosen profession, of our destiny, and people will take a reason to take shots at us. And don't let anybody do that to Simone Biles in your presence. Don't let anybody do that to Naomi Osaka, or matter of fact, any non-famous Black woman, right? Don't extend your support of Black women to celebrities, but also extend it to the Black women that you know in your life personally, okay? That goes for y'all too, our white friends. White friends especially. Y'all need to stand up for Black women out here. If y'all see a Black woman getting treated on some misogynoir, on some racist, fucking sexist shit, say something, white women, because white men are more likely to listen to y'all than anywhere else. Peter Low Frequency. Thank you, darling. And what's up, King Chappelle? Listen, King Chappelle, we take it, sir. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. You guys are really helping us get to our goal that much more quicker, y'all. Thank you all so much. And yes, you guys are the shit. I want us to move on slightly Because like I said, let me just end that. Y'all, some more support Black women, support Simone Biles. That's it. That's my rant when it comes to Simone. But the next part of our program has to do with a labor action that is planned for this weekend. Now, guys, Genevieve says that y'all really like it when we talk about labor issues, especially when we're talking about strikes, work stoppages. Like that's sexy to y'all, and I dig it because it is sexy to I as well. So if you use the food delivery apps, you are very familiar with DoorDash, right? DoorDash. Well, DoorDash apparently treats its workers extremely bad. And this should not come as any news or rather surprise to anyone, because DoorDash is on the record as being some ain't shit motherfuckers. Tunde, if you could pop up that article from Mercury News, Bay Area's DoorDash to pay $2.5 million after being accused of stealing drivers' tips. Yes, the federal government had to get with DoorDash in 2020 because you know how when you order something on DoorDash and you as the customer are able to preset the driver's tip, DoorDash was being the intermediary. It was like, oh, I'm just gonna slide that $6 out of here. Customer, you still gonna get charged for $6, but the driver is never gonna see that $6. So DoorDash had to pay a $2.5 million fine after being sued by the federal government in connection to literally wage theft, stealing wages, tips from its drivers. And that is just one of the many ways that DoorDash has treated its drivers deplorably. So July 31st, which is Saturday, guys, it is tomorrow. It is the day where DoorDash drivers are going on strike. So the DoorDash drivers themselves are asking us, everybody, don't fuck with DoorDash. And I want to check out this quick video from a TikToker by the name of Voice Like Mine, who says that they are a driver for DoorDash, and they list some of the reasons why they are participating in Saturday's strike. Tunde, can we take a look at that, please?
Good morning, all. This is Denise, your usually friendly DoorDasher, but I'm not happy today. As if a $3 base pay from DoorDash was not insulting enough, they've lowered it to $2, $2.25, $2.50, $2.75. And if you don't tip, guess what? Baby, your food is going to the death pile because it's not going to get picked up. July 31st, the majority of us Dashers will not deliver for DoorDash. Do not order through DoorDash. Go to Uber Eats. Waiter. Use Grubhub. Use somebody else. DoorDash does not care about us. I'm so pissed right now. 7 o'clock. I've not even made $20. I've declined so many orders because they've been $2. Who the fuck is going out for $2? They don't keep up the maintenance on our cars. They don't do anything. And then to lower the base pay, do not give them your money. If this gets me deactivated, oh well.
Legit, right? I didn't hear her say anything that I thought was unreasonable at all. And, you know, according to DoorDash drivers, when the app first started, I think they used to pay drivers like a base pay of $5 per order, right? And that number has fallen significantly, down to $3, down to $2.50, down to $2.25. And the drivers really rely on these tips. So if you are a person who does not tip, we may have to have an etiquette class, y'all. You gotta tip people, man. You got to tip service workers. Even if you are receiving food literally on your doorstep, somebody got in their car and use their gas to bring you your meal. So you got to break them off something, baby, because clearly the company is not doing a good job of compensating its workers. So I want us to play another video that I found from a DoorDash driver who has a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel is called DoorDash Dad. And it's a Black guy. And in this clip that we're about to see, that he actually posted last year when he was calling for a strike, for DoorDash drivers to strike. And now here it is, July 2021, and they are about to do this strike tomorrow on July 31st. But let me set this up for you. So he is he's detailing his day that day, right? And he just picked up and delivered what he said was an $80 order from PF Chang's, right? And he took, $80, that's a big DoorDash order. So he picked up this $80 order from PF Chang's. He delivered it to the customer, and the customer gave him a $5 cash tip. So I want us to pick it up from there. And he's going to detail about why it's better for sometimes drivers to decline a bunch of orders, because apparently DoorDash raises the financial incentive for the subsequent drivers to pick up these orders. So I want you guys to pay attention to, again, these are some of the reasons why these DoorDash drivers are going on strike Saturday, tomorrow, July 31st. Tunde, if we could take a look at that, please.
And I make the delivery. He says, hand it to me. I make the delivery. That's where the $5 came from. When I made the delivery, hit complete, DoorDash paid me $3.25 for 6.5 miles. When you decline an order, most likely it's going to go up. Because see, even though DoorDash doesn't care nothing about you, you are the linchpin of their organization. Without you, they don't exist. So start treating yourself like that. I know it's hard. I know that in some cases, especially those who do this full time, it can get a little desperate. Okay? You just want to, you just want to grab, you want to bite at anything. Don't. Do you know what my active time has been? No, you don't know. I've been out Tuesday and Wednesday. Today's my third day out. I have spent 5 hours of active time out of a 10-hour dash. That's about 5 hours a day. So for 5 hours, I've been sitting in my car because I have been declining garbage. When you decline something, yes, you miss it, but it makes it better for the next dasher until eventually DoorDash will stop playing around, okay? And they will start to compensate us properly. You gotta stop, man. You have to stop. I did it today for an experiment, and without this $5 that he so sophisticatedly gave me, that was a $3 order, man, for 6 miles there.
DoorDash Dad, guys, check out his YouTube channel. That is a very honest accounting of what his day is like, what his compensation is like. Driving 6 miles for $3. And I don't even know exactly where he's located, but I'm trying to put him in this area, so to speak, in the DMV. Let me explain something to y'all. 6 miles is a long way. It's a very long way. It's an extremely long way to only receive $3. It's shameful. Shame on DoorDash. Tunde, if you could pop up that sfgate.com article for me. This is from last year, guys. And during the pandemic, of course, we know retailers, grocery places, and of course, food delivery apps raked in money during the pandemic, hand over fist. And according to sfgate.com, DoorDash's CEO, Tony Zhu, earns the distinction of being the biggest earner in the pandemic year, nabbing $413 million in compensation last year. In 1 year, $413 million, nearly all of which were seen in the form of stock awards. Zhu has a $300,000 annual salary. Shorty, what kind of stock perks is that? Your base salary is $300K and you walk out of there with $413 million and then have the audacity to pay your drivers, as DoorDash Dad just said, the linchpin of your business. You're paying these people $3 a ride. Gang, if I find out that y'all ordered some goddamn DoorDash tomorrow, shorty, I don't care where you are. I'm coming to find you. I'm coming to find you. We stand in solidarity with workers on this here channel, everybody. We do not cross that strike line. So ladies, gentlemen, and days, let me explain. We're not doing DoorDash on July 31st. And to be honest, even researching this story, yes, Ursula, it's making me mad too, baby. Researching this story is making me reconsider DoorDash altogether, right? And I don't know how they stack up compared to Uber Eats or Grubhub or some of the other delivery apps. Like, I don't know that DoorDash is necessarily the worst. But according to this shit, we are hearing from the workers, they are absolutely making a case for them being the worst. So gang, tomorrow, July 31st, do not order DoorDash. No dashers, no drivers, no deliveries for that San Francisco-based food delivery app where the CEO walked away with $413 million. You guys, listen. I don't even think we should be aspiring to be millionaires and billionaires, right? Because apparently when you get your hands on millions and millions and millions of dollars, you turn into a very callous asshole. Now, perhaps you were the callous asshole all along, and the millions and millions of dollars simply amplified that out of you, right? It just highlighted who you already were. So I don't know. I don't aspire to be rich. I do aspire to be comfortable. And I think there's a big difference in that. And let me tell you guys straight up, and I think I've said this before on Black Power Media on the Remix Morning Show, by the way, which airs Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 8 a.m. Eastern on Black Power Media. If I came up on $2 million, like $2 mil, I'm good. I'm talking about I'm good. And in the sense that anything over that $2 million, like, you have to give it away. Like, y'all will never, I don't care. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm just thinking of, money making opportunities coming my way. Y'all will never, ever hear me talk about, oh, Kim has a net worth of $5 million, $10 million. Ain't no fucking way, dog. Because if I got enough to make sure my mama's house is good, I'm good, I got some money in the bank, I got some money to retire, bitch, I'm not trying to be pushing the Benz. I don't have to wear Gucci. Like, that kind of shit doesn't really move me. Like, zero balances move me, right? Like, that moves me. So yeah, no, if you got money out here, please don't be a greedy motherfucker. Take what you need to live and save and provide for your family. But if you ballin', I'm talking about millions of dollars, like millions annually, please, you got to give it away, man. You can't just be sitting on that bread. Not in these times of inequity, not in these times where we have ample housing and yet people are forced to live on the streets by the economic system that we live in, by the political system that we live in. Like, no. We got to stand up and do what's best for the community, even if those in power refuse to do so. There's that. I'm going to leave us off with an update, everybody. And by the way, Molly is letting me know that we have crossed $1,000. Is that right, Molly, in Cash App? That's brilliant. Or is that $1,000? Oh, is that $1,000? Oh, wait, $1,000 of our goal. Hey, that's pretty good. So we're what? Is it close to 20%, 25%? I too am not proficient at mathematics. But thank you guys. I mean, shit. Listen, Molly and Tune was like, yeah, we're going to do this fundraiser. And I'm like, all right, cool. I said, how much we going to try to raise? They said $4,300. I said, you niggas is crazy. You're not going to give us $4,300. But y'all are making a really good push here for this first week. And I can't thank you guys enough. So, as you know, here on Burn It Down with Kim Brown, I just don't like to bring you stories and be like, oh that thing happened and you'll never hear it about it again. No, there has been a tiny bit of movement, or at least some updates on the Los Angeles Police Department bombing a South Central LA neighborhood. I brought you guys a story some weeks ago over the 4th of July holiday weekend. LAPD confiscated literally thousands of pounds of explosives. And because they're a bunch of fucking genius, super trooper, dumbass fucking cops, these dumb motherfuckers put all the shit in a big truck, supposedly that was equipped to handle large explosions, and they blew up the fucking neighborhood. And I'm not even being that's not hyperbole, okay? Like they blew it up and displaced largely Black and brown people, pretty much exclusively Black and brown people. So, and I hope they don't ding us on this. God damn it. Tunde be yelling at me because I use videos and then you two come back and act like some ho-hos like, "Our content creator said this, that, and the third." I said, hey, I'm not passing this shit off like I was there. I always credit any source that we utilize. So what we're about to see is a piece from Spectrum One News in Los Angeles by reporter Kate Cagle, who apparently Kate Cagle is with the shits out there. Kate Cagle is a white woman who is going to cover the police honestly, at least by, judging by some of her reporting and the fact that her reporting is respected by people I respect, like Richie Sergenko from the People's City Council and Cerise Castle from Knock LA, who did the amazing expose of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department gangs. Google do it again. Google LASD gangs. Cerise Castle is the shit. And she respects the work of Kate Cagle, so good enough for me. Kate Cagle, guys, Spectrum One News. Now, this is actually from, I want to say July 11th. So this is from a couple of weeks ago, but it's still relevant because the people are still very much dealing with these same circumstances regarding their damaged homes and whether or not the LAPD or the city of Los Angeles intends to compensate them for their losses. So let's take a look at this piece from Spectrum One News's Kate Cagle.
This street in South Central was blocked off for more than a week while the ATF and the LAPD continued their investigations. I'm Kate Cagle in South Central, where the neighborhood here is demanding accountability. The fact no one was seriously hurt when metal and debris went flying across the street makes Saif Alam think God must have been watching.
One of the projectile, big piece of metal hit over there and landed here.
The blast skewed his front door, blew out the windows. He's in recovery mode after 24 years of owning this building and the Mexicali meat market in a working class neighborhood.
We'll have to replace the whole thing.
The South LA explosion shut him down for 8 days. He's still waiting for an inspector to tell him if the building's really okay, and he lost tens of thousands of dollars in merchandise.
Loss of business, loss of time, loss of customer, and lots of merchandise, etc. So I think we're talking about $200,000-300,000 easily.
The LAPD's total containment vehicle, a reportedly $1 million piece of equipment, also known as a TCV, was supposed to contain the blast on June 30th. LAPD had just seized 32,000 pounds of illegal fireworks and later told federal investigators they thought some were too dangerous to transport. According to court documents, due to a malfunction or error in the TCV operation, the entire TCV exploded after ignition of the homemade fireworks and improvised explosives. More than a week later, neighbors like this elderly woman are still waiting to see if their homes will be red tagged.
I can't even tell you how much glass was on top of my bed. There's no words to explain. I didn't know one window could break into 22 million pieces.
She didn't want us to use her name because, well, she said she's been through enough and she's mad at the LAPD.
They recommended we leave, but we're elderly. We can't leave. I have a walker. I can't see. He's in a wheelchair. So they said, well, it probably will be safe. You can stay here. And then the next thing, boom, everything's falling in. We have 16 windows in the house. Every window's out.
Ron Gochez was aware of police activity in the neighborhood when he suddenly felt the ground vibrate from 3 blocks away.
And I actually remember saying to some of my friends, I say, maybe they detonated it, but then I said, nah, that's stupid. In the middle of the community, there's no way they can do that.
He's vice president of the South Central Neighborhood Council, which voted unanimously on his motion, urging accountability from the LAPD.
Just like the man who stored all those fireworks and was selling it, he was arrested, he had his day in court, and he's going to face legal consequences. The people who made the decision to detonate that in my community also need to face legal consequences.
The blast destroyed Alam's outdoor security cameras, which froze at the impact.
So there are a lot of spectators, because they were telling everyone to move.
Alam has insurance and plans to file a claim against the city for what he lost.
The future business is my concern too. It may take a couple months to get normal.
He relies on the business of those uprooted by the blast and won't fully recover until the neighborhood does.
Spectrum One News, Kate Cagle there reporting, and let me just say what I appreciate about this report is that report exclusively talked to the people on the ground directly impacted by this. I didn't hear from a bunch of police officials or city officials, though I am interested in hearing from them. I am most interested in hearing from those most affected. And if you guys watch a lot of local news like I do, the local reporters tend to go after the official source, right? Who is the person of authority that can speak about this? Oftentimes, when it comes to issues regarding power dynamics, right? Like these neighbors versus the LAPD or the city of Los Angeles, normally it's the powerful voices that get highlighted and heard the most. So I appreciate Kate Cagle for talking to the people on the ground affected by that. Now, guys, by the way, like I said, residents are still affected by this weeks later. And the chief of the Los Angeles Police Department, Chief Moore, gave a press conference. And when I tell y'all that the activists showed up and heckled the shit out of this motherfucker in the middle of his press conference, the shit is glorious. And I respect these Los Angeles activists because they're with the shits. They're absolutely with the shits. Check out this clip from CBS LA of the Los Angeles PD Chief Moore trying to give some bullshit explanation as to why his incompetent police force decided to detonate thousands of pounds of explosives and fireworks in a residential neighborhood, as we just saw in Kate Cagle's piece, where there were residents there who are elderly or not mobile and not able to evacuate. And these dumbass cops told these people that they would be fine where they are. And as you heard the woman say, her windows all exploded into 22 million pieces. Cops ain't shit. Tune in, let's take a look at Chief Moore getting heckled.
They operating under the assumption that 15 was the right number or 25 was the right number?
I don't have their specific statements. I don't have those specific statements on that.
Fuck you, Chief Moore.
So
These
either way,
deserve to be fired for this explosion in a South Central neighborhood.
What was the manufacturer?
You need to be fired. Chief Moore must go, and Chief Moore will go.
How many people have been taken out of the field? Is it the whole?
Sorry?
How many people have been taken out of the field?
The
Fuck you,
individuals that
Chief
were
Moore.
involved
You shouldn't be telling anybody numbers because you don't know how to do math.
At 6.5,
You reported.
would this
Fuck
be
you,
the
Chief Moore.
largest
Fuck you, Chief Moore. Chief Moore must resign now. You're responsible for this.
Anyone else?
Yes, Chief.
You're responsible for this, Chief Moore.
And another substance
You are
common in the
responsible for this.
protection of fireworks, or we're talking about something that could be potentially more than a fireworks explosion.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You can take your mask off, right?
The mixture of TCB and another substances that are not being clear right now are common in the confection of fireworks, or we're talking about something that was probably much more than just a firework.
No,
Rain to Sud, I too, honey, am on the floor crying, laughing as fuck yous rain down at Chief Moore's press conference on live television. And hey, man, hey, sometimes you gotta tell people straight to their face what time it is. And I don't think Chief Moore's been told fuck you enough. So kudos to the activists, to the wonderful people who showed up there with their megaphones to let the chief know that he needs to quit and that he ain't shit. And fuck you, Chief Moore. Miss J Free, thank you so much for your donation, sweetheart. We so appreciate it. Guys, that is our program. Let me thank everybody again. Thank y'all so much. Courtney, that was some funny shit, right? Y'all, cussing out the cops will never not be funny. Why y'all think I got Richie Sojenko up in here sometimes? Because Richie be giving the police all the smoke, all the fire, everything that they can handle. So there's that. But guys, thank you all so much for making the first week of our summer fundraiser an overwhelming success. I am blown away. I didn't even know y'all like me like that, which is amazing. So thank you all so much for really understanding. I mean, if y'all are showing up here and giving us support, that tells me that y'all get it. and I don't know what to do with that. I'm so used to being misunderstood and people sometimes intentionally misunderstanding me. So the fact that y'all show up and y'all get it, y'all understand, y'all with it, y'all with the shits, y'all dropping flame emojis, y'all dropping super chats. Like, I'm just over the moon excited and so grateful and so appreciative to everything. So on behalf of Tunde, Male, and Genevieve, I'd like to thank you all for supporting Burn It Down with Kim Brown. We will see you guys on Tuesday for the Tuesday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Thank you again, especially to our patrons and to everybody who dropped us some Cash Apps, some Venmos, some super chats, all of that. I'm just blown away. Gang, what do I say before I log off? COVID is still out here jumping on people. As the new mask mandates go into effect nationwide, different places, that fact is still very much evident that COVID is still out here jumping on people, vaccinated or no. So please do what you need to do. Please mask up when indoors. Continue all your high hygienic standards. Washing your hands and washing your hands. Well, I can't overstate washing your hands. It's so very important. Wash your hands, wear your mask, and please consider getting vaccinated if you haven't already. So guys, have a great weekend. Thank you all. You all fucking rock, man. See y'all later. Bye-bye.